The prime thing is you have to win.
You guys know I'm going to Las Vegas, so I'm fired up about it. Hell yeah, I'm going. Of course I'm going. Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the Just Win podcast presented by Prize Picks. And today we are doing our first ever film study. We are going to break down DJ Glaze. Obviously, he's going to be a huge factor this season. The Raiders did not upgrade at right tackle. He's going to be in competition with Charles Grant. Maybe Zune, the draft pick, will be in that kind of competition as well. But I really think the Raiders are going to depend a lot on DJ Glaze and how much he improves. So we're going to take a look at the film. Marshall is going to break it down, and we're going to see what he did well, what he didn't do well, and what he needs to work on.
Yeah, listen, he I think took a step back last year, but as we know, there's a lot of just like not great structure around him and the rest of the offensive line. And so some of what you'll see is DJ Glaze's youth and experience, and some of it I think is just poor scheme, poor execution. But I think when Kubiak and Rick Dennison were hired, they made it a point to say, hey, there's guys in the room who we believe have more to give. I think DJ Glaze is one of those guys. He's still going to be in competition. I think that's kind of set in stone of between him and some of these young guys, maybe the draft pick Zune. We just don't know. But hopefully this film study, it's only a small sample, gives you a little bit of light about what they might see in him and stuff he might need to improve. But I talk about it a lot on pods, but being able to show you, what I see through my lens and kind of a little bit of how I used to watch film. Hopefully this is helpful, and you guys give us your feedback on other players, other things you want to see. We're just going to kind of hammer out film, and Ted and I are going to kind of chime in and tell you what we see. So this is the Houston game. The Raiders, late in the season, things were out of hand. They were spiraling, but they played the Texans really, really well, and they had some really shining moments up front. I think Ashton Genty, even Geno Smith had a couple of bright spots. But we picked this game because it was, I think, a shock to a lot of people of, man, these guys still have some pop. There's a lot of talent, a lot of ability. If they can play this way against what was a vaunted Houston Texans defense, then maybe there's some potential there. So we're just going to start. This is play one. Later in the season, they had dialed up a lot more play action passes early on in downs, early on in quarters, and this is a prime example of that. This is the first play of the game for the Raiders, and as you can see, hold on. This is just a kind of a half rollout play action pass. You've got the guard pulling back. If you see here, this left, I wish I had a telestrator for you guys, but this left back who's over the left tackle, when we're taught if this guy buzzes or is going to come, you turn this particular protection into just a full line slide. You protect the pass over the run cell. But as you see, he's in prime position off the ball. They do a jet motion, and this backside nose is reachable for the center, knowing that the guard's pulling. If this guy was wider and just a bitch to block, you also turn this into a full line slide. And so all of those things are primed, and they keep the play action pass on. And we're going to look at Glaze. He's got a very even stance. To me, this is one of the things he has to work on, is having a stance that doesn't scream run or doesn't scream pass. To me, there's no drop back happening here. If I'm the defensive end, it's either a run or a play action. And so we'll see how he executes it.
And could you quickly define what a slide is?
So a slide would, there's half slides and full slides or full turn slides. Right now, as you can see, the guard is going to pull, but a full line slide would be every lineman, if we're sliding left, has the gap to his left as their responsibility. No matter what comes, if they slant, if they blitz, if you're the left tackle here, you have the widest guy, which is the edge, or if a DB comes and everybody just bumps out. And so a full line slide is the inside gap, or your gap to your left or to your right, that you're responsible for. And it's like a zone instead of a man or kind of a combo in the pass protection game. But now, once the guard leaves, this is more of a man. I believe Glaze and the guard are responsible for this 3 technique and the backer above him. And that's why you see the guard kind of post up for him. He's got his eyes looking to go help the center. And Glaze, I think, does a good job here. He's really square. He's powerful. You want his hands to get inside. but he's strong. He readjusts his hands. I like that. And he's got good feet, a good, powerful stance. And that, to me, that's a plus. It's just kind of as simple as that. It's a play action pass. It gets everyone off to a good start, and it's a plus play. And that's what you want to see. There's nothing. That wasn't the hardest block in the world. He got help, but that's what you want to see. Moving on to the next play. So
that's some of the reason why play action helps out these offensive linemen.
Play action helps out because you get the play fake, and guys get to run sell, and really the defensive line has to react in what they call a secondary rush after they realize, oh, it's a pass, and hopefully the linemen have him hemmed up. They have their hands right. They have the deuce block or the combo block prepared. But here, they incomplete on first down. They're in second and long, and they go basically 5 wide. They've got Mayer here in line, but they go 5 wide and pass play. And this is one of those plays from Glaze specifically that is just, to me, an unforced error. Now, maybe his ability, he gets beat, but I just don't think that he's a good player. I think he's got a lot of ability, but this is one where you beat yourself. So Mayer here is going to be out in the route combination, but the reason he's lined up here is as presence. He is there, even if he doesn't touch this defensive end or chip him, whatever, he is there to dictate where the defensive end can rush. Because if this defensive end wants to rush speed and go wide, he has to widen out beyond this hash and designate that he's going to do that. Well, the defensive end decides not to, or maybe he's just not aware. So as a tackle, I've got a wide 3, basically a 4-eye in the jet alignment, and I've got this wide defensive end, but I've got tight end presence. I've got to know tight end presence, which means I do not have to hurry out of my stance and away from this guard. I don't have to overset. I can be patient. I want a quick out of my stance, but a tempo set where I'm still square and I'm on pace, but I don't leave this guard hanging out to dry if they run a TE, which is a tackle end game where this tackle would jet upfield and the end would flow over the top. And so he does himself a disservice. He just sets too aggressively and too flat. There's just no reason to go there with your original set. This tight end, again, even if the tight end doesn't touch him, you've got presence and body presence, which is half the battle in pass protection, even if it's from a tight end and running back or another lineman, where I know this defensive end, if he wants to rush wide, again, he has to go way wide. But if he wants to rush inside, he's got to come to me. And DJ Glaze just, kind of wins the rush for him. And you see here, he oversets, he reacts too quickly, his feet are all out of whack, and he gives up pressure right away. That's the second play of the game that didn't have to be that way. And again, we talked a lot about Geno Smith's shortcomings, but if you're a quarterback, what are you supposed to do with this? And so this is a team game. All these things are working in tandem, and DJ Glaze can just do a better job of just winning with his initial set, winning with awareness.
Yeah, and that's what's defined as a quick pressure, a pressure under 2.5 seconds, and that just wrecks pass plays.
Yep.
If that happens, and to me, that's just like, you got to know what the protection is. You got to know where your help is.
Yeah.
And, that's something that either he didn't pay attention to or was not properly communicated to him.
Yeah, it's, players share the blame because we ultimately have to play, but there's a chance that he wasn't prepared for that. But I put more onus on the player on that one. That's a winnable block for him. So here we are. This is the first drive of the game for the Raiders. Incomplete pass on first down, a pressure, incomplete pass on second down, your third and long right away. And this was a story of the 2025 Raiders getting behind the chains. And so here, again, Brock Bowers, he's in the wide alignment. Is he there to chip or is he there for presence? It kind of doesn't matter, but you have to know that as a tackle. Now they've got an overload front. Overload means they've got more linemen on one side of the center than they do on the other one. And a lot of times it's to isolate other linemen. So this time might be to isolate Stone Forsyth, but it's still a hard block for the center, right guard, and right tackle because you're assuming they're going to run some games. You're assuming it's not going to be just a straight, clean rush. And so we'll see what Houston actually does. And funny enough, they do rush straight, which was, what they chose to do. I think they were just like, hey, we don't think that our Raiders receivers can beat our defense, which is, valid. And we think Danielle Hunter can get home on Stone Forsyth, which is also valid. So this time, the tight end is part of the protection originally. They'd say, Brock Bowers, hey, your job is to take the outside shoulder of this defensive end no matter where he rushes. If he rushes wide, you got to get wide. So there's Brock Bowers trying his best to get outside. I still take that, but you hope that he goes through the outside and force that defensive end back inside. And if you're DJ Glaze, this is better from an angle standpoint. You've got this head up 2 on the right guard. You've got like a tight 5 defensive end on you, and then you've got a wide 9 defensive end. So I want to be really vertical. I want to still stay square, and I want either hand post presence, which means kind of holding your hand out there as a feeler, where you're looking outside, but your hand as a feeler is inside for any games, and to help your guard. And then you've got you know that if this guy runs wide, you've got the angle where you can get in place. The angle is good. The set to me is just poor. It's just he's backpedaling, and sometimes that happens. Listen, in the trenches, it can get ugly. Ultimately, we just want you to win your block. But this is too early in the game. You can't act like you're tired or your technique is this bad. I need to see you explode within a kick set and stay square, staying paced where you're not too far from your guard, but you're still getting out of your stance. And this is just kind of, to me, a little bit lazy. It's a little bit he's got so much more potential than this from an athletic standpoint. And to me, this is just like inexcusable. And my guess is Rick Dennison immediately was like, this bullshit's done. You're done with this. We need a kick set. We need, getting out of your stance with explosion and presence and like, hey, I'm trying to go win this block. And so we won't talk about the rest of protection. That is what it is. We're talking about DJ Glaze right here, but he does a good job of that post hand is what I'm talking about, that left arm. That the guy passes off to the guard. All right, now I know I'm on the end. Also right here, you've gone straight back. I would like at a certain point, after you know that interior alignment is gone and you know that chip just happened, to reduce the space between you and that defensive end. Because ultimately, that's, to me, he's got 3 to 4 yards of a head start to just bull you back into the quarterback. So I would like to use your foot speed and your quickness once you get back to that point to then go make up the space, turn it into a quasi run block. You don't dip your head and get whiffed, but you decrease that space and you allow for more room for error and to really, to me, turn this from a passive pass blocking thing into with more aggression. And this is how you start to beat up on defensive linemen as the game goes on. Because yes, the ball gets gone. You technically won your block, but you didn't touch anyone. You didn't have to do anything. That's okay sometimes, but I want to inflict punishment on the defensive ends. And this is a chance where DJ Glaze can do that. And also later down the road, save himself a lot of grief and headache from just getting the bull rush after this guy gets chipped. So anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, I think that's one of the big issues with Glaze is he is a strong, powerful guy. Like you can see it sometimes when he just dominates a guy in run blocking. But sometimes in pass protection, it just doesn't feel like he has a strong base. Like it just feels like he's kind of floating back there. And I think that's like one of the issues where he gets pushed back, too many times.
Yeah. And that he can help himself there. Again, these are a lot of this stuff isn't just like, he has to go and be a different player. It's just playing a little smarter, having a little bit more awareness, and a little bit more aggression when the time calls.
Remember, guys, go to the link in the description, check out Prize Picks, download the app, use code HMA. New users play $5 and get $50 in lineups. Right now, we can put together lineups based on what we think these guys are going to do during the season. And since we're talking Raiders run game, we're going to look at Ashton Genty getting more than 975.5 rush yards. I think he could easily get over this. This is where around what he got last year with a really bad offensive line and a bad system. What do you think, Marshall?
Yeah, we keep talking about it. I think this is, to me, a pretty obvious one, but I understand there's a lot of contention, but I think they will be much better than most people realize.
Yeah, and again, you have to use put somebody in your lineup from a different team. It can't just be all Raiders. So let's look at the Chiefs' new running back that they signed, Kenneth Walker III from Seattle. His more or less is 950.5 rush yards. I really like the addition of Kenneth Walker in this Chiefs offense, but it's still like I need to see Andy Reid actually commit to the run before I believe he's going to do it. What do you think, Marshall?
Yeah, this is the interesting one because, we have Holmes coming off that major injury. I think they will be trying to rely on the run a lot more than usual. And Kenneth Walker is a bigger guy than, an Isaiah Pacheco who can take more of a beating. But it comes down to, will Andy Reid give him the ball enough, and will this offensive line be improved enough to pave the way to run for more than 950 yards? And I have doubts about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to say less. So remember, guys, only play responsibly and only if the means to do so. Prize Picks, code HMA.
So here's the next drive. They go 3 and out. This is the next drive. And then we saw a lot of this later on the year, some trickeration, the little reverse here, the end around to Trey Tucker. And if you're Glaze, your job here, more times than not, is between you and the guard. One of you has to get through. You want to sell the backside of this. Sometimes it's like a fake power. Sometimes it's like a fake zone. But one of you has to get through, whether that means if I'm Glaze, I knock this 3 technique over onto my guard's face and climb, or if the guy chooses me, the guard feels it, and you say, hey, go, go, go. The guard climbs up to the second level, because once these linebackers in the NFL see end around, they are flat. They're better athletes than us. They're faster than us. That's just what it is. I've got to get flat up the field and reduce that angle. So this time he passes off the 3 technique. The guard's pulling away, but you make sure you secure that for the center, which is a tough back block, and then you got to climb fast. Well, in this instance, the linebacker blitzes, and so to me, this is a version of getting chosen. He chose you, so you play ball. You don't think too much. He hits you in the face. You just grab him and you kind of secure him, because this Trey Tucker is fast enough to outrun him as long as you secure him for a little bit. You don't end up getting it to a second level, but that's okay. These end arounds sometimes work that way, and you just play football. And so I'm not sure what else he could have done differently. I'd like to see him kind of like hit the line, see it faster, hit the linebacker a little quicker, and secure his outside edge. But, this is good enough. But again, moving forward, you'd like to see him think a little faster, be prepared for more options, and then go play ball.
Yep.
All right. Next play. So that's first down, positive play on the end around. I think I got 8 or 9 yards. Second and short. And then I love second and short. You've got so many options as a play caller. You get to get in these run formations where you can be bigger. You can go play action. You really can do anything. And so we'll see what the Raiders chose to do here. So they just chose zone.
That's what he's going to be doing next year.
Yeah, I mean, this is Clint Kubiak. I think they're going to coach up the finer points of the zone, but this is zone. So again, DJ Glaze, his stance. We'll go from his stance. I don't mind the stance. He's in a 2-point stance. Generally, I was taught most places, if you have a tight end next to you, you get in a 3-point. But it's kind of whatever your flavor is. I'm fine with this stance. Whatever helps you get off the ball, especially in zone, and not step under yourself, which he does a pretty good job here of actually gaining ground with that left foot. That first step, a lot of times you pivot in place and you go on that angle and you're actually losing ground. You want to gain ground with that first step. He does a pretty good job here of that. And he is on what is called a B block. So again, I wish I had the telestrator. Stone Forsythe has got the end. They're zoning the left guard and the center have like an A or a left block to this front side backer. And then the right guard and the right tackle are B blocking backside to this this backside backer. There's no lead back. So you're 5 for 5. The first 5, you go and get them. And so to me, this is outside zone. If you judge by Ashton Genty's path, we say outside zone is generally at the butt of the ghost tight end. So if you look where this ghost tight end would be next to Stone Forsythe, that the running back is angled there where he is the start, that's usually outside zone. So outside zone, the guard, I don't mind the post there. The guard could take a better angle, but DJ Glaze's angle is good. The original head placement is good. You want him a little lower, but I'm okay with the positioning. And now you get here, you want to screw in that right arm under his pads. You don't want to get caught holding or anything like that. And then you're trying to take in outside zone. You don't want to go straight laterally, and you don't want to go too far north and south. You're trying to take him out and up, so kind of on a diagonal. this almost the same path, ideally, that the running back's taking, and then you let the running back press the line of scrimmage and either decide to bounce front side, go straight, put his foot in the ground and get north and south, or to cut back. And you're trying to displace this lineman left, laterally, and back to give the running back as much possible chance. Ashton Jeanty, who got hit in the backfield almost more than any running back in the league, you're trying to get him to the line of scrimmage or before he gets touched. And so this is, to me, still a pretty good job originally by DJ Glaze. But again, your base and your hands are so important. I've seen guys who are not the most athletic be just exceptional run blockers because they know how to use their hands and they have a really good base. DJ Glaze here is too high, and when he's trying to reset his hands, he doesn't get them inside good enough because you'd like him to have his hands screwed inside, and he has a good base and he's running his feet on that angle. The angle initially is good, but he doesn't have a base. He doesn't have a good grip. And so what does the lineman do? They get paid too. They're athletes too. They shed you. Their job is to shed and find the ball. And you originally win the block and then you lose the block because you don't have good hands and you don't have a good enough base. And if you win that block, then you imagine Ashton Jeanty. He's got Daniil Hunter has to make a arm tackle on Ashton Jeanty. We know Jeanty is good at that. And you get Jeanty one-on-one with a defensive back. And, Petrie is just a dog. And, he's one of the best tackling DBs in the league. But still, we will take that as an offense. We'll take the running back on a DB one-on-one past the line of scrimmage every single time because our guy is going to make your guy miss more than not. That's the confidence we have to have. But you got to get the blocks on the line of scrimmage secured, and then you let Ashton Jeanty do his magic. Instead, he gets hit by the defensive lineman, and you get stopped for a yard, 2 yard. So it's little things like that turn, no gain plays into long plays. And so DJ Glaze has some room to improve there. Next play. So it's second down, second and long. This looks like a run formation that, they got big personnel in. And this is another thing that I think Clint Kubiak will specialize in is even if the down distance aren't in your favor, he's going to run the ball at enough to where you have to be honest, especially with big personnel on the field right now. So they've got two tight ends and a fullback. Or who's 40 last year? I forgot. Do you remember?
I do not remember 40.
I think he's just an extra tight end. So let's call us 13 personnel. One running back, 3 tight ends. And so this is a run personnel package. Well, what do? They do this little half rollout pass. I don't mind it, but again,
they ran this play way too many times last year.
Well, that's the thing is that a defense as good as the Texans, they're already good enough on the field, but D'Amico Ryans hasn't dialed in the film room too. So you give too many looks like this, and they'll anticipate it and they'll react. But let's talk about DJ Glaze on this play. There's not a whole lot you have to do. It should be an easy plus, but the last thing you want to do on this is let this defensive lineman retrace and cross your face. There should be no reason that this guy is crossing your face unless it's a screen, unless this is some kind of rollout throwback screen and you want to quote unquote get beat. You want to hit this guy. To me, these are fun, free pluses where I get to just beat up on a guy and there's very little consequence for me. I get to run off the ball and really impose maybe this guy's beat me once or twice today and I'm pissed off even more. And I get to just hit him in the side of his helmet for free. But DJ Glaze, again, he pivots on that inside foot a little too much. He's too high, and I think he's just not aggressive enough. He's catching with his arms, and he's not doling out enough punishment, in my opinion, for such a simple play. So Geno Smith throws one of those picks. I mean, it's a bad decision on his part, but, what do you expect him to do? I expect him to throw the ball away, but, I understand when there's instant pressure in your face and they see the play coming, there's not much else to do. So one of those real bad picks from Geno from this season.
Yeah. That's like their favorite short yardage play. Texans definitely knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah. And so that play works. A lot of teams run that play, but you have to set it up, and you just can't run it too much. So here, back here on first down, they're in 12 personnel, Mayer and Bowers, little jet motion, and they're just running duo. So on the backside here is called a fold block. From team to team, it varies. They have a different name for it, but these two tight ends, because of the angle that they have, both with the safety they have to get to and this defensive end, the angle is better to seal the defensive end with the tight end on the line of scrimmage, and then you fold over Brock Bowers to then take on that defensive backfield back in the hole. So that's the call that you'll see. Sometimes players make it on the field. It's not always designed that way, but you give players the freedom sometimes to figure things out on their own. So if you're DJ Glaze, we're running duo right here, and duo is a gap scheme without a puller. And so it's similar to inside zone as far as your responsibilities, but the actual technique is different. You are really anchoring in on these double teams. They have to get more vertical than they want to get lateral. And so your guard, and this is from team to team, it varies on technique. Sometimes we called it a gallop, where the guard would square up and take on the defensive lineman, and the tackle will come in and literally gallop and keep his shoulder square and hit the near hip of that defensive lineman, which is his center of gravity, and you're trying to knock him over sideways as hard as you can. So this is what I was talking about last year when we talked about what were the Raiders, what was their approach? What were they teaching? What were they expecting on these run plays? Because I don't know. Usually, hey, this coach, based on the film and just experience, this coach likes the gallop, or this coach likes this technique. There were so many different times, but we just didn't know what they're being taught. And it felt like guys were kind of freestyling. And I'm telling you, when your guard and your tackle are on different pages, it's hard to move 320-pound guys. It just is. And so right here, DJ Glaze has pretty good steps. He gets in position. I like to see him a little more aggressive and lower, but I don't mind his positioning there. He squares back up. He gets a good post from the guard, and then he runs his feet. I think this block should be about 2 to 3 yards deeper based on the size of the right guard and right tackle, but they do a good enough job. Genty, his initial cut, I think, is too far backside. I think he should be more in the A gap and then let the play kind of develop. But then he adjusts. He's a really good athlete and makes up the ground, and it's just hard to bring down. And so DJ Glaze, does his job. He runs his feet, kind of gets tripped up there. But I think this combo, while it's a plus, could be so much better. This is where you have a lot of room to improve, and every extra yard you give space for Genty, man, is just – he's just a special player. And we didn't get to see the extent of what he could do last year because of, just little loose ends like that in run plays.
Yeah. And that's just an example of, like, if you get a hat on a hat, he can make things happen.
Yep. It sometimes is that simple. That's what we're trying to do. So here we are again. This is 13 personnel. You've got I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name, on the right at tight end, and you got Mayer and Bowers on the left. And this is this is a zone play. Kappa just gets blown up immediately. That's tough. The guard just completely hangs him out to dry. When I see this on Sundays, even Saturdays, it ruins my mood, because sometimes if you're the tackle or you're the guard, sometimes you're the lead guy who has to help your guy out before you go to your assignment. Sometimes you're the follow guy. You just don't want to get left out to dry here. If you're the center, especially, you got to snap the ball first. And then your guard, he's scooting his butt out wide. He's not bringing his hips through the outside shoulder of that defensive tackle. He gets no displacement. He's just in too much of a hurry, in my opinion. And that leads to this defensive tackle still having all his power, all his leverage. And I'm a center reaching a 2 technique, which is hard enough as it is. And you give me no extra help. I need that guard low. I need his left shoulder and arm exploding through the outside shoulder of that D tackle, lifting his shoulder up. And then you can also adjust your angle when you're trying to exit to the running back or the linebacker. He just scoots his butt around, is in way too much of a hurry. It's not physical enough. And then if you're Glaze, this is a tough block, I will admit. But, man, you've got to get your first and second foot in the ground at the right angle, and you've just got to bring your lunch pail. You've got to, show up to work with a bad attitude, because this guy's trying to run through your fucking face. Sorry for my language. And he's laid off the ball, and he just gets a chiropractic adjustment, man. I'd like to see him take a better first step, second step, like I said, and get his hands inside. But he doesn't threaten this defensive end at all laterally. He doesn't threaten them outside. He doesn't threaten them vertically. And so much of that to me is get off and intent. Listen, are defensive ends more athletic than us? Yes, usually yes. But do they know the snap count? No. Are they as big as us? Usually no. So our advantage is get off, snap count, and size. Mass moves ass. And he's just laid off the ball and he's not aggressive enough. Should not be getting stuffed in the backfield like this. There's just no way. And the Genty makes the most of it, but it's just a really hard play. And listen, sometimes the angles are what the angles are. And you just, as a tackle, you're like, oh, you break the huddle, you get the play, you're like, oh, this is going to be a tough one based on this alignment. I've just got to set my mind to just displace this guy. It's an attitude thing. And this was just an unfortunate attitude play, bad technique as well. And again, another explainer of this run game just being, you've got the center getting blown up, you've got the right tackle getting blown up. If you're Ashton Genty, what are you supposed to do? People who didn't watch the Raiders, you can tell, when they talk in the offseason during the season about, oh, Ashton Genty was either a bad pick or I don't see him rushing for 1,000 yards or do this and that. Okay, fine. But that's not based on what you're watching. It's based on what you feel. What you're watching is his right guard and his center getting blown up. He getting hit, 3.5 yards in the backfield, and somehow evading the tackle and getting upfield and making this play into an explosive game, no less. I mean, I'm watching this again. It's been a while. It's just an incredible play by Genty. His lineman did not help him on that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard block, but that's the block that you're going to be asked to make a ton in this offense. So
it's a hard block, but this is the NFL. Sometimes the blocks are hard. I had plenty of times where I missed a guy or I was too aggressive and I kind of whiffed or I overthought the play, and that's just what it is. You got to just decide, hey, they're asking me to do this for I would have loved to have played with a back as good as Genty. I played on the best back I played with was probably Marshawn and then McCaffrey at the end of my career. But early in my career, having a guy like Genty who can make you right this often is just a privilege, and you've got to, act accordingly. So explosive game for Genty, and you're still fighting. You're driving. So here we are in gun. And I didn't see another tight end, so you're in 11 personnel. But here's Jack Besh. Here's what we're talking about, Besh, and what he could do for you. He's lined up as if he's the extra tight end, but also he's a pass threat and he's a blocking threat. This time, he gets involved in a run blocking play. This is kind of similar to kind of the way that Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp get involved and other guys around the league where he gets folded into the play. We talked about that fold block before. He gets folded into the play as part of the blocking assignment. This is just the inside zone. If you're Ashton Genty out of the gun, he's literally hitting an A gap. And so if you're the line, big deal is getting displacement on these interior defensive linemen, letting the running back, because at a gun, there's less timing for the running back to see the whole field. And so you've got to get more displacement to give him a chance to see more of a cutback lane. It's hard, but that's just what it is at a gun. That's why you see more teams doing under center runs, because it does help the running back or pistol. It helps the running back have a little bit better vision for his the aiming points. So it's just inside zone. We'll look at DJ Glaze. The right guard, remind me of 76 again. Was that Chauncey?
Rogers?
That's Rogers, sorry.
Yeah.
Rogers, a young lineman. This is inside zone. His first and second step, his second step is way too far. This linebacker, unless he's like 2 to 3 yards and creeping, he is not a threat in that inside A gap. And this is not outside zone. So I don't have to worry about him running laterally. If he runs laterally, he runs himself out of play. He's stupid. If he hits the hole, then I take him. But until he's threatening the hole, I've got to be there for my guard on this combo block. And so he's got too soft of a shoulder here. The defensive lineman does a good job of swimming, but I've got to really lean back into his chest and very least pop his chest up so that DJ Glaze can come and scoop him up and drive him out of the hole. The defensive lineman swims Caleb, and DJ Glaze is there. And this is where your weight comes into a play. He takes a pretty good first step. He gets there. You can see how quick he is. He gets there with enough speed. I still want to see him lower. I want to see his hands inside. This, for DJ Glaze, should be right here. His base should be square, and he should be dumping this defensive lineman 7 yards down the field. He's got all the momentum. The defensive lineman swam, and so his shoulders are out of whack. His feet are out of whack. You've got all the leverage. You know the running back is probably going A-gap or cutting back. This should be a dump pancake block. He does a good enough job. I like that. He starts to finish. I just want, right there. Keep going. Keep going. He's starting to finish. And this is the best block so far. You see right here, chop, chop, chop. He's running his feet. If he's got his hands inside, running his feet, that guy is turning, trying to go back to the play. That's a pancake every time. Instead, he kind of lets him wriggle out of it. Still a good run, still a good block. A lot of things can be true. I think when people criticize linemen, it's all the way good or it's all the way bad. And that's just not how football works. Yes, does it help the play or does it not help the play? We have to give it a grade. We have to decide if he was successful or not. But also there's nuance in what the impact of the block was on that play. And so for DJ Glaze, he did what he's supposed to do on the B block. He gets his feet in place, and all he has to do is finish, and that's an A+++ block. That's a really good block, and Genty gets a positive gain.
Yeah, that's a good example of like how his potential. Like he has that quickness, he has that explosion when he has his mind right and he has his footwork right. And it's just like these little things that he needs to fix. And I feel like part of it is just being comfortable and knowing exactly what you need to do and what your teammates are going to do. He just doesn't seem sure of himself at times and what he's doing at times.
Yeah, and that's going to come from reps. And I very much believe Rick Dennison is getting him comfortable with, hey, you need to execute what we're teaching, and I'm going to reduce the amount of things you have to think about so that you can just go play. My guess is last year they just got such misguided, instruction about what the goal of each play was. It felt like he was thinking, and obviously reps help. He's still a young player. He has a long way to go. But yeah, you see the potential, and I think he will improve. I believe he will improve. So here we are, and we're in gun 4 wide, and this is an obvious passing situation. So we'll look at DJ Glaze's his stance. I like his stance here. He looks athletic in his stance. I like the original set. Right here, he's turning a little too soon. I want to see him keep his shoulders a little bit more square, but he's almost at the point of attack where the defensive end is engaging him. And so when he gets set, it allows his feet to be a little less happy. So he's got the quickness to get to the spot. This is a lot of problems I had playing when I was younger specifically, is I had all the quickness to get to my spot, but you've got to settle your feet down. And some guys call it, I worked with Duke Manyweather. He's the O-line masterminds guy. Building your house, getting to your spot and anchoring your feet. That doesn't mean your feet stop and get, tied in the ground, but they've got to have a sense of place. Mm-hmm. And so right here, when he engages the defensive end, he's kind of catching, he's not punching, and his feet are kind of fluttering. He's got at least 1 foot off the ground. I don't know who you think you are, anybody, but you're not stopping a bull rush when your feet are off the ground and you have it punched and slow down the momentum of the defensive end. It doesn't happen. And so what we see here is boom, boom, boom. He gets knocked back. He does recover well. And that to me is the sign of a tackle that can play in this league. That you talk about scouts when they're looking at college guys. College guys are unpolished. That's fine. That happens. It's just what it is. But when they see a guy who can recover like this, when the set wasn't perfect or whatever, or the defensive end sometimes makes a good move, to me, that signals a guy who can play at the next league and be effective for you. So at the point of attack, when they engage, he's not in a good place from his angle's good from the pass set. His feet are bad. His hands are bad. But what happens is he gets a little help from Genty there, but he hops. He's got enough athleticism and mass that he can slow down the bull rush, and he gets his feet back. And see, the base here is way worse, but then the base here is way better. We want this base on the original point of engagement, and then he's ready to go. So the ball was on the right hash, and where he ends up is still about a yard away from the right hash. And to me, that's pretty good. It could be way, way, way better if you're DJ Glaze. But to me, you positives on the original set. the athleticism, but his hands can be better, his feet could be better, but you like the recovery. And that to me is the sign of a lineman who you could really work with. And I guarantee you Rick Dennison saw that and was like, I can do something with that.
Yeah, and it goes back to my point I made earlier. Just like that's the number one thing I feel he needs to work on is just building that house and having a strong base, because he has the power and athleticism as he's shown on display in a recovery, but he just puts himself at such a disadvantage when he's just so light on his feet or off the ground like that.
Absolutely. I didn't get the down and distance on this one, but here we are, 12 personnel, Mayer and Bowers. Little play action. And this time it works. I mean, you run the ball a couple times, you run zone specifically, and this looks like zone. You and I on the show, I would talk about, hey, you want your run plays to try to match as best you can, or you want your play action plays to match the run fake. And so this one, whether it's inside or outside zone, Gino shows the ball, the line sells it good enough, Genty sells it, and you get sucked from the defensive end and both linebackers. We'll look at Glaze here. And again, this to me is quote unquote free play. It's not free, but and what the lineman has to do in the NFL, this is free. You should haul ass down the line, take good steps, sell the run, and you get a free kill shot, most likely on this defensive tackle. So he gets out of his stance. Good. I like that. And he engages him, and that's fine. And, ultimately he's out of the play. You just want to impose as much physicality on him, beat him up. So he does not want to show up for third down. This is your chance to take out some punishment, some frustration. Your girl's been mad at you, yelling at you. Your coach has been yelling at you. You use a naked boot like this to take out punishment on the defensive lineman. So not much to say here. He could be a little lower maybe, but no, this is a plus play, and the play action actually works. This is what the Raiders can do quite often. Even if the runs are not as efficient as they should be, we saw with Clint Kubiak in Seattle, they're about 20th in run efficiency. But as long as you run it a decent amount and you're the threat to run it, these plays will work a lot. And that is a good thing for Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah. All right, let's look at one more play, and we'll call it a day here.
12 personnel here again. A little bounce from Genty. And inside zone again. So you see him take the ball and get north and south in the A gap. Parham gets lit up. That's another one of those where you just, you're catching instead of delivering physicality. And then we'll look at DJ Glaze here. So this is an under U, which means I'm talking about the front. It's a 4-down man front. And you've got on the left side here, you've got a 4-eye 3. And you've got a 2-eye on the backside. And so if you do zone counting, there's no lead back. It's 5 for 5. Well, part of that 5 is Glaze in this defensive end, but that includes Mayer this time. So he's got to work a combo block with his tight end. They're working up to the backer right above that 5 technique. So again, angles. This is inside zone, and the linebacker is not threatening your inside gap. You do not have to be in a hurry. Young linemen, I just want to, if any of you are watching this or you see young linemen, understand what the play calls for, where it's supposed to go, and angles and leverage. You should beat up on this defensive end. I mean, you should be a better run blocker than Michael Mayer. That's just the position. You do everything you can to stay there and hold position while keeping an eye. It's called 4 hands, 4 eyes. 4 hands on the D lineman, 4 eyes on your responsibility on the second line, second level. And they're stunning off the side. So he's trying to cross your face, but he is going lateral. You should put your foot in the ground and you should put your right shoulder through this sternum and just blow him up vertically. He is going lateral, which means he's literally like in the air. He's like skating. And so this combo block should be vertical. If he just really wants to cross your face, then fine. You might hook him and you get Mayer to knock him over and you throw him out of the play that way. But more times than not, even on this stunt, I want to see vertical displacement. He is giving up strength by stunting laterally like this. Does that make sense? And so you should use that against him. Lift his ass up in the air and pile drive him 5 yards down. Put him on the linebacker. This combo block should go to where that linebacker's standing, that yard marker. So DJ Glaze, good first step. I think a decent second step as far as where it is, but it's got to be north and south. His knee and his shoulder and his right arm, it's got to go press north and south through the middle of that defender's body and get pushing vertically. Instead, his right foot kind of drifts. It's not strong. It's not in the ground. And instead of you pushing him, he's pushing you. He's squeezing you inside, even with the help of Mayer, which now means Mayer has to help you longer. Mayer is late to get off to his responsibility. And obviously, Petrie, off the edge there, getting across Bowers' face. That's still pretty good by Bowers. I mean, that's kind of all you expect from him. But instead of Mayer getting off sooner and getting to seal that linebacker, he's now late. And Genty, instead of only having to deal, again, with the defensive back, has to deal with the defensive back and extra defenders. And that, to me, is very much impacted by this combo block by Glaze and Mayer. He could be so much stronger with his second step, with his right arm, his right shoulder, and pressing vertically with strength. And to me, this is another chance where you have a chance to pancake a guy. Sometimes pancakes aren't possible. They don't help you. That you get too aggressive and the defensive guy makes you look stupid. But in this case, he absolutely has a chance to ruin this guy's day. Instead, he gets pressed in the hole and he makes Mayer hang on longer than he has to. And these are another small thing where you're asked Genty, instead of getting to the line of scrimmage without being touched, he's got pressure in his face from the blitz, from the stunt. And then he's got 3 defenders at the line of scrimmage that he's dealing with. Still gets positive yardage, but it's just a tough thing to do, play in and play out. And so if they just improve some of these small things, including Glaze, including the guards, Ashton Genty, to me, it's obvious that he's going to go for a ton of yards. Even if, Kubiak's offense in Seattle wasn't the best at running the ball, Genty, to me, is head and shoulders above the running backs they had in Seattle. And if you improve the line just 10, 20, 30%, I think he's going to go off. It's just, to me, it's so obvious after watching this film.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because I thought DJ Glaze, especially with initial contact, was so much more physical his rookie year than in his second year.
Yeah.
So that
listen, I like this finish. He's the beginning of the block wasn't great. He's getting pushed around a little bit. But his attitude, I really like. I think they can work with that and improve on that. I think he has a lot more to give for the Raiders' run game for sure.
So overall, I mean, the athleticism is there, the foot quickness is there, but there's just a lot to work on as far as just technique, building your base, and it will help that he will be in a system where he will know exactly what's going to be asked of him.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like so many players were kind of just unsure of themselves last year.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of their better games. I mean, they were competitive with the Texans, and there's still a lot of mistakes. But there were games early in the season where guys were going in different directions, literally and figuratively, on the line, and you could just tell things behind the scenes weren't where they're supposed to be. So you improve that, you improve their confidence, you get them. If you master the simple things, playing line becomes a lot easier. You start thinking ahead of schedule. You start, being a little bit more savvy with your feet and your hands, and you're more efficient. And then you can start beating up on people. That's, to me, the fun part, is getting to beat up on people. So I'm excited to watch how they grow. And, you only get so much of that in OTAs and minicamp because you're not in pads. But camp will be where you see the biggest change and biggest strides made by these guys.
Yep. All right. Great film study. And we will address some of the questions you guys had in the comments. In later film studies. Again, this is not going to be on Apple or Spotify because obviously you're not going to be able to watch on those things. So this will just be on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you guys like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you listen to our other podcasts on Apple and Spotify, and rate and review. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.